Welcome to Locals Only Cantina.
Mixing it up with
Brandon
and Cherie.
That was a bad high five.
That was such a bad idea. Well, that was
What
intense.
is up? We
Hey
are
guys,
back.
how's it going?
Another episode of Locals Only Cantina.
Yeah. So if some of you guys are just joining us for the first time, which I hope that's something that's real.
You hope they haven't been watching?
No, I hope we have some new listeners. I love our lovely followers that we have so far, you guys. Like, thank you so much.
All six of you. See, it's gone up because I used to say 3 of you. Now we have twice as many. 6.
Yeah, but looking for some new listeners, looking for some
We've
new
actually
friends.
had
so.
like an episode go like kind of like viral, at least for us. We had like
Yeah.
36,000.
32.
Downloads or something like that?
Downloads. That was pretty cool.
That was dope. Yeah. Don't know exactly how it happened. We woke up and I was waking up half asleep, and there's Sheree at work, like 7 steps down from our bedroom. And she's like, "Hey, well, look at this," and it was a cool surprise. So thank you guys. That was dope.
Yeah, hopefully it was good things. I don't know. Maybe not.
Maybe there's like 36,000 people out there being like, "These guys suck ass."
Yeah, they're like, I hate those guys.
Yeah.
Let's bring them down. I don't know.
I don't know.
But anyways, no, I think we have some fun stuff we're going to start talking about, and we're going to start some new things. I know I keep saying that, but we're really going to get some new stuff going. But I was kind of looking over what we've been talking about over the last little bit, and I think we skipped over something that I wanted to turn the attention over to Brandon and ask him some questions. But to start off,
I need a drink first.
yeah. At
Cheers.
Locals Only Cantina, we always have a
Cheers.
drink to start off.
My favorite shot glass, given to me by my good friend Stephanie.
Yeah.
Her husband Jeff.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So what's your thing? What's your
So in the
plan?
past, we talked about what women want in a relationship and in a guy, but we've never actually talked about what men want. So I'm going to turn and maybe ask some questions to Brandon and hear his side of things.
It's gonna be like a really short episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, women are like what women want is like fucking trying to like crack a case, right? Or crack a safe, right? Like you gotta have the fucking like thing up and your stethoscope and trying to hear little clicks and everything like that. Like guys are like way more simple than that.
Yeah, except
feel like
for
you're expecting more than-
wait though. No men will actually say it, and why? Because the men these days are trying to feed into what women actually want to hear instead of what they actually want. They don't want to say out loud what they
True
want.
story. Yeah, absolutely.
Because we're living in such a culture of so many feministic viewpoints that I don't think we actually let men actually have their voice and say what they really feel.
Sure.
Yeah?
I would agree with that for all those guys out there that are giant pussies and are afraid to be themselves. That is true, yes. But for those of you out there who are not afraid to be yourselves, you have the chance to have a leg up on the rest of the crowd.
Yeah, we were just watching
Yeah.
a video. What was he saying? What's the percentage of men who actually get action? Is that what it was?
So it's called the 80-20 rule, and it's somewhat misunderstood. Now, the 80-20 rule applies to actually lots of things. It's actually a universal rule. Goes to sales, all that stuff. You know, you're gonna get maybe 20% of the sales that you call on, you might close, where 80% of them you will not close, right? And that rule is a universal law that applies to all sorts of things. Now, it's also applied to male-female dynamics, but it's somewhat misunderstood, right? And so he was saying it was Rollo Tomasi. He was talking about how it was misunderstood. And people think that 20% of the guys are hooking up with 80% of the women. Now, that's not exactly the case, right? And so he talked about a study that was done by none other than Tinder. They keep real good statistics and everything like that, where men rated 60% of women they found to be attractive. Women found only 4.5% of men to be attractive.
Wait, 60%?
60%
compared to 4.5?
Compared to 4.5. So if a dude is scrolling through Tinder, he's going to swipe right or whatever. I've never actually been on Tinder, but I think it's swipe right, meaning
I know.
you like them.
This is before our time. We're
He's
old.
going, yeah, right. He's going to swipe right 60% of the time, right? Whereas a woman is only going to swipe right 4.5% of the time. Meaning, guys, the majority of women find you unattractive unless you are that 4.5%. Then you have your pick of all the women out there, right?
So I do have a question. Do they have anything to say about the quality of men and what they're asking for, or no? This is just a general.
No, it's based off of looks, right? Because it's
Okay.
profile.
Okay.
It's looks, whatever they might say, meaning maybe they say
No contact. Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't really know
they're-
how to.
They're not discussing it, but whatever their profile says, it's got a picture.
Okay.
It might say what their job is. It might say what their income is. Who knows, right? So for dudes, a girl's like numbered. Let's say like 1 through 10, right? 10's smoking hot, 1's like right? A girl's number for a guy is based, for the most part, off of looks, okay? Now, if you're smoking hot and you're a hag, once I get to know you, that might go from like a 10 to a like 3 because you're just fucking awful, right? But if I'm going to look at your picture, instantly you're a 10, right? Now, your picture might say that you're a hairdresser and you make 20 grand a year. I don't care. You're still a 10 because you're hot, right? Guys don't care what women make. Like, the money they make does not account into their number, right?
Do they show that on Tinder though?
I
Or
don't
are
know.
you talking about down the road as they talk?
I'm just saying, I don't know, I've never been on Tinder. I'm just saying that your profile would probably say certain things, right? This dude might say, hey, here's a picture of me. I'm also a CEO, right? She's going to assume he makes a shitload of money. He might even have a picture of himself next to his Lambo or his Ferrari or his Corvette or his something. Guys are usually going to post a picture of themselves next to something that shows their worth, right? So I'm saying that a girl can look at her profile and they can get a good judge off of somebody's worth, right? What I'm saying is the guy will look at a female's profile and all he cares about is if she cute or not. First impression.
Because the girls know how to work
However,
it.
yeah, you know how to work it. But a girl, so what I'm trying to say is that a guy's worth, a guy's number 1 through 10 is not just solely based off of looks alone, but also income, job, social status. There's so much more that comes into play, right? And we've had this discussion before about what girls want in a man, but Shree's trying to turn it on to what like guys want in a girl. And I'm just saying it's very simple, okay?
Yeah, and we're talking about, those statistics are coming from Tinder, and we're talking about looks, right? Straight looks, nothing else. We're just
Well, I don't know. I've
about
never
looks.
looked at a Tinder profile. Tinder profile
Damn it,
might
we should have
show.
pulled up some Tinder profiles.
Right, we're very unprepared. But it might show the dude next to his expensive supercar. It
I
might
think it's
show
probably a
show his
picture and you
income.
swipe left or right. I don't think you know too much about
Okay,
him. But
so let's just assume it's just looks alone, right? Okay, we're gonna take off
just looks.
all the shit
Has
I
to be
just
just
said.
looks.
Let's just say it's just looks alone. Just looks alone is still a thing. If a guy will look through all the profiles and he'll swipe right 60% of the time, but a girl swipes right 4.5% of the time, that means that 4.5% of the dudes are getting all the action, right?
That must be hot. So what is your take on that? I want to know what your thoughts on that are.
My thoughts on that?
Yeah. Why do you think that is?
Well, one, I think women are just naturally more attractive than men. Also, I think that a lot of guys are they don't know. Most dudes out there, let's be real. If a girl's swiping right 4.5% of the time, that means there's a whole lot of 5s, 4s, and 6s out there, dudes-wise, right? And a guy's going to be much less picky because all he wants to do is get some, right? Or find somebody that thinks he's okay, right? So he's going to swipe right on a bunch of chicks, right?
So there could be like a quality over quantity,
Like,
right?
Guys are just less picky in general, right? Guys are less picky. Girls like to think that we're not, right? Because we're like, oh, guys hold us up to this impossible standard, right? Well, the statistics don't play out. They don't prove that right, okay? Girls, I have found, hold each other to this impossible standard, and they are way bigger bitches to each other than guys ever are to them.
Hell to the yeah on that one.
That's a truth right there.
Truth
okay?
right there. I'll agree with
So,
that.
point is guys are less picky. They swipe right 60% of the time, more than half of the time. Girls are way more picky, and they only swipe right 4.5% of the time. So the question is why, right? And I would ask you that. Why?
I personally think it's sex drive, and men have a stronger sex drive, so they're willing to like swipe right a little bit more often than girls.
Sure.
Yeah.
But that doesn't make it
I still don't think that skews the numbers the way that they are.
60
right?
and 4.5%.
Yeah,
That's a
huge,
dramatic change, right?
Yeah, that's a huge gap there. So.
Right.
So, Brandon, when I don't know, should we go right to that or
I don't know
keep
what
going?
I don't know what you're saying.
I don't
So
know. I felt like you had a train of thought that I just
no,
like.
I'm good. I'm a blank slate. You go. And I will
Okay.
respond.
So we're gonna take this to a couple different angles, okay?
Yeah.
So you and I are old timers.
Are we?
We are so old timers.
I feel like I'm young still.
Yeah, we feel like we're young, but we've been married almost 20 years, you guys. This is our 19th year of marriage. Crazy. I don't know.
Well, we've already completed our 19th year.
Yeah,
We're working on our 20th.
we're almost to our 20th anniversary,
Wow.
so we're
It's
kind
like
of old timers.
Almost a year away still.
So taking it back to the day, like when you were a young, sprightly walking.
Sprightly.
When you were walking sprightly along, and you were
Sprightly,
like.
that's a Mormon thing right there. That's
When
a
you
Brigham
were-
Young quote.
When you had a little hop in your
When I
step.
had more pep in my
Yeah,
step.
there
I
we go.
have
Pep.
plenty of pep in my step, thank you.
That's true. I enjoy watching your pep in your step.
Yeah. Plenty of pep. in
But so if you were single and you had to swipe left or right, what would you be looking for? Like if you were single, like I guess we have to kind of take it back to maybe you're in your 20s at this point. Okay, we'll go there and then we'll go to different
Well-
ages. No? Do you think you can have that perspective or not?
Oh,
really?
sure. Absolutely. My opinion has not changed since I was like 12.
Okay. Tell me. Give it to me, baby.
Did I just hear a door open?
Yep.
No, I did in fact hear a door open, but it was upstairs. It was not downstairs. There's people out there that are gonna hate me for it. Those friends of mine that know me, they just love me and accept me. But
So
I have a certain
here's the
standard
nailed
that
down
I've always
truth.
been-
Like we have to dial it in and say, okay.
But I'm not
I
most
must
men
say,
though.
I think this guy's kind of cute. I don't know. Like
problem
I
is-
kind of like him. So you
The
know,
problem
like
with what you're asking though is I am not most men. I would not swipe right 60% of the time. I would be the dude that swipes right like 4.5% of the time.
so he's putting himself on the level of
Yeah, I'm
maybe
picky.
women have a higher standard than guys, and that's why I see.
They do.
I
Absolutely.
think
That's what I said.
okay,
Men are less
okay,
picky.
okay.
Men on average are less picky. But I will tell you why it is. I'm going to spit some truth.
okay, bring it
Because
to me, baby.
most men don't take care of themselves either, right? And so if you're not a 10, you can't expect the person that you're with to be a 10. If you're not a 7, you can't necessarily expect the person that you're with to be a 7, right? And we've talked about this before. Dudes, women also, this is not just a guy thing. I mean, use your fucking eyeballs and go outside and look around, right? You walk in the mall, there are like, maybe you might walk through the mall, you might see like 1 or 2 8s. People these days are not smoking hot, walking around. They're just not. They're very, very few and far between, right? So what I'm saying though is this: that the average guy is much less picky than the average girl. Now, the average girl is not a 7, 8, or 9, or 10, right? Yet they're still expecting their guy to be a 7, 8, 9, or 10. That's why they're only swiping right 4.5% of the time. Men are more realistic. Women are not. Now, that's the single scene, right? Once you get married, you hook up, this and that. People's bodies change. They let themselves go. They give their cool away, this and that, and then that affects things in all sorts of different ways. But I'm not saying that every woman that marries somebody is married to that 4.5%, because eventually people get older and they settle down, right? They have their party years, their fun years. They settle down.
Wait,
and
I had my party years like 20 years after marriage.
I know.
10 years after marriage.
You and I went at this thing in reverse, though, right? Because we were
for any of you guys who don't know us, we got married in the temple, like
I had
completely different life than what we live now.
Before I met you, though, you had not, though, right?
No.
And so when we left the church, we experienced it in reverse, right?
Yeah.
But what I'm saying to you is this, though: women swipe right 4.5% of the time because they have, I would say most of them have an unrealistic expectation of what they deserve to have. Now, I'm not single right now. I don't cruise Tinder right now. I'm just looking at the numbers that the statistics show with this specific study that we're speaking on right now, right? I don't have the experience because I'm not single. I'm not on Tinder, right? But a 60% and a 4.5% is a very big difference, and it can only mean one thing. Guys are less picky than women are. In this episode, you wanted this to be about what guys want, right? The average guy is much less picky than the average girl.
Oh, I would 100% agree. And my take on it is probably just the sex factor, in the fact that men are driven to want that more, and they can't have that without having the opposite sex. Well, women can kind of satisfy themselves without the opposite sex, so like they kind of look for quality over quantity a little bit more.
Oh, yeah. Sure, that's fine, but like, is it justifiable though, right?
Well, I think that, like, you know what you want. Like, you can't change the statistics. So what is it that, like, if you were to give me, if you were single and you were in your 20s, what would be your 3 to 5 things that you would look for? Number 1.
Pretty face.
Pretty face. Number 2.
Good midsection.
Good midsection. Number 3.
Ass and legs.
Oh my gosh.
I don't care what she does for a living.
That's true. That's
my
true.
point. That's my point. Girls.
But we're talking about swiping off a look, so this goes along with that.
Right. That's my point. Girls care about those things also, but they also care about what they do for a living. They care about their drive. They care about what their future might be. Guys don't fucking care at all. They just want you to be like cute and sweet and nice, right? You know?
But that's just the way that we're made up, right?
Right.
From the dawn of time, men were the ones who...
And it's because back in the day, caveman days, a girl was not going to survive unless she was with a dude that could take care of her, right?
Yeah, like what were we watching? People are going to hate me for saying this, but what's that show that we've been watching with our kids? The Last of Us?
The Last of Us?
Is that what it's called?
Okay, all right.
So we were just talking about this and how there was the last couple episodes that they had, and there was
so stupid.
This woman in charge who had no It was not reality in any sorts.
Her like secondhand man was this like badass Marine looking dude
Yeah.
with a fucking machine gun,
And
and she was all like emotional and like scared,
soft,
but yet she was like the leader.
There's no way.
That's not gonna happen ever.
I'm all for like women and empowering women and being there for women and standing up for women, but I will say if there was an apocalypse that we had to survive through, there's no way in hell a woman would be in charge. You know why? Because men are stronger and would take over. It's just the way that it is.
Well,
and
it's not just women though, right? It's like the world in which we live, right? And we're getting way off subject.
yeah,
But the world in
That's
which
what
we
we do.
live in right now, right? We live in this super awkward, strange world where you can't assign genders until they're fucking like 37 years old and decide for themselves and this and that, and men should be like emotional and they should be sensitive to this and that. That all works right now because we live in peace, right?
yeah.
The closer you get to apocalyptic times, well then like the savages, like it goes back, right? Where the savages like they protect the clan and they lead the wars and they lead the things, and then the women they take care of the food and the kids and this and that, and the savages go out there and they like kick ass, right? Like every single time in the history of ever that there's a situation like that you get close to apocalyptic times, it goes right back to gender roles again. That is just a thing that happens, right? And I actually read a super interesting book, it was called The Way of Man. And he talked at one point in time about like why like masculine men are turned off by or like have disdain for like feminine men, right? And it has nothing to do with like who they want to like be in love with or who they want to date or who they want to marry, right? Nothing to do at all with them being like homosexual or anything like that. But it's because we're tribal people. We're tribal creatures. And men are the ones that go to war. Now, if you're a feminine, weak person, you're no use to me in a situation like that. We have that like bred into us since the dawn of time, right? So we're getting way the fuck off subject here, but
Well, not exactly, because the reason why I brought it to that point is because innately inside of us as women, we want to be with a man who can take control, who can actually be the ones to like fight the wars. Like if I'm going to be like walking down a scary alley, do I want to be with a man who is hiding behind me, or do I want to be with a man who's like going to take charge and take care of the situation and keep me safe? Like, that is just what we innately want. You may not agree with me, but really, like, walk down a scary path. Go to St. Louis on the east side of town and tell me that you want to walk. Like, it's just, like, one of those areas where, like, there's a lot of crime that happens there. And you want to be able to be safe in your environment. And we look for that. And honestly, like, the women who are going to be with men who are a little bit less masculine and the women have to take on the masculine part of their relationship, actually like really want somebody to take charge and be that masculine part. They don't realize it because they're trying to be the strong position in their relationship, but they do. They desire it.
Yeah, and eventually they end up resenting that guy because they don't necessarily want to be the masculine one, right?
Oh, and we play this. We are getting off track.
We're getting way off track, but actually we're not. And I'm going to bring it right back. Okay.
Bring it back,
so,
baby.
What do guys want in a woman? They do not want a masculine woman. Okay. They want a feminine woman. They want somebody that will look up to them and respect them, right? Now, on the flip side, the guy needs to be respectable, right? The guy needs to be somebody who's in shape. He needs to like take care of himself. He needs to like take care of his business. But yeah, that's what we want, right? Guys don't want some like just, these chicks that call themselves like boss bitch and stuff like that. No fucking thank you, right? You can be a fucking 10. The second I find out that you're a quote unquote boss bitch and you think you're the shit, you're like a 2 to me. Okay? So if you're asking me what guys want, that is not what guys want, even sort of, right? And the guys that do want that boss bitch will resent them in the end, and then they're going to ask, where are all the good guys at? There's good dudes out there. They just don't want you because you're awful.
Well, they don't want to compete with that power, right? They want to take on the masculine part of the relationship. And when they know they can't actually take that part, they're going to be out. Like, easy, right?
Well, they can and they could, but we've been taught this line, like our boys have been taught this line for the last several years, that that's not the way they should be. You should be accepting of that, right? Because of equal rights and this and that. And sure, equal rights, right? But men and women are not equal creatures.
And just
we're just not the
we're
same.
very clear about what we're talking about. Just because we play our parts in masculinity and femininity doesn't mean that I can't
I don't even like
have
to
a
say
business and be like.
I don't
where I'm
even
at.
like to say play your parts. It's just your natural, like, instinctual, like,
Well,
being, right?
We
You
both
know?
have both parts, and that's the thing that people don't realize, right? Like, we both have feminine qualities and we both have masculine qualities, and we play up and play down depending on where the other partner comes in, right? Like, if you're not going to play your masculine part of who you are, I've got to own up to that masculine part because that's inside me, which
But if I do that for too long, then eventually you're like, yeah, this dude's like lame.
yeah, I'm going to become the man in the relationship.
Yeah, that's not fun, right?
But that's what I'm saying is just because you play your roles doesn't mean that you can't be a powerful person, right?
But I don't want to, but that's what I don't like. I don't like saying play your roles because that makes it sound like it's like fake and it's not real.
Yeah.
I think that is nature.
Yeah.
Now, we all have downsides, right? Like, we all have times where things are hard, right? I've had times to, like, you know, I think of myself as being like a masculine, strong dude, but there's been times where life's just fucking hard and I break down and I'm a useless fucking schlub for a time and I need Sheree to, like, be there for me, right? That's totally normal for a short amount of time, but guys, like, at some point in time you gotta, like, stand up, grab your balls and do what you need to do and, like, man up, right? Because if you don't, she will lose all respect for you forever.
Eventually, it's a long process,
Yeah.
but we've seen it many times in our friend groups,
Yeah.
actually.
Not just our friend groups, I've seen that in my own family, like,
Yeah.
people that I love and care about, right? Like, my dad was a very beta guy. He was not the alpha. And I love my dad to death. He's passed. I love my mom to death. I don't want to talk bad about either of them, but I did learn that that was not the role that I want to play. That is not the person that I want to be in my own life, right?
And two, like, when you want to, like, when you're a woman who does want to have a sense of, like, leveling up in your life and you want to create more of an experience for yourself, having a partner who can grow with you is huge. So I think that sometimes in those types of relationships, the problem that happens is women actually start, like, outgrowing that relationship, I guess, in a little
Yeah.
bit. But
Again, we're way off to topic,
that's the
but
way we always do this.
but it's
right?
doomed though, because when Sheree says we're gonna have a discussion about what men want, and it's like seriously like 2 or 3 lines. So what's your
Yeah.
next question? Let me see
So,
if I can spit
okay.
some wisdom.
So I think now, like, say we were to, like, something were to happen to me or we get divorced or whatever, and you're left single now in this day and age, where same level of everything there.
What do you mean same level of
Well, I
everything?
mean, like, same things that you'd look for is just all
No.
looks, or
Well, yeah, and it would be even more hardcore because I wouldn't want to get married again right now. At least not for a long time. I would probably look for girls that were younger than me,
yeah.
and I wouldn't want another wife. I have young kids still. I'm not gonna bring somebody into my life that's gonna be like their friggin' stepmom or some shit like that. I'm just not. So if I am going to date, it'll be like strictly for fun.
So
And they're gonna
maybe
have to
people
be-
swiping right more was just for, like, a booty call, or
Yeah. use your eyeballs, go outside, look around. Most of those dudes are not swiping right just for booty call. Those 4.5% are, not the 60%.
Of the women?
Of the dudes, the guys that will swipe right 60% of the time. I'm saying the 4.5% that are worthy of booty calls that like can get them at will. Those are the guys, right?
Yeah.
The rest of them are just hoping to find somebody to love them, right?
Yeah, and you know what's crazy is actually just having this conversation, I kind of already know what I wanted to say is I think women make the whole dating scene a little bit more complicated, and I think that's why they look for this perfect relationship, this perfect like man, right? So they like when they go off of looks, like they're swiping right on so few of them because they're going off of like a small percentage of what they like to see. But I think men are a little bit more simple in that way where they kind of want to see where it goes or see like I don't know, see it in a different way. I don't know. They're a little bit more simple than what women are. But
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think about that?
Well, it just goes back to what I said. Men are far less picky than women are when it comes to that stuff.
Yeah. I don't know.
I'm not saying that's me because I'm super picky. I'm married to that, right? So, but the average man is far less picky though when it comes to who they're attracted to, who they want to be with, or who they would like to even like see if they want to get to know, right?
So my next question will be,
Yeah.
are you ready for
All
this? This is a huge one. Are you ready for this? Are
I'm
we going to go
prepared.
off on a tangent? I don't know.
I might. Let's see.
So my next question would be, if you were to give advice to people who want to be able to make that percentage higher, so maybe take it from 4.5% up to 20%, what would be the 10 things? I'm giving you 10 things.
10 of them? I gotta count to 10?
Yeah, sure.
Jesus.
Okay, maybe 5. I don't know. Tell me your list and we'll stop wherever you stop. But what advice would you say for men who are on these apps and just
Or are we talking about just single people or married people also? Or
Well,
just dudes in general?
just dudes in general, because I mean we talk about this a lot, but maybe for the single scene, and because we've
I think
been married.
I want to include all guys in this one.
Okay, just because we've been married for 19, almost 20 years, and there's a lot to be said for that. There's a lot that goes into that. There's a lot of struggles that we've been through. I mean, this last 19 and a half years hasn't been easy. It hasn't been like the easiest thing on either accord, right? And so what kind of things like...
We just watched this movie. What's it called? The one with Ashton Kutcher and Reese Witherspoon?
Is it Your Place or Mine?
Your Place or Mine, I think, on Netflix.
It was a new movie.
It was a rad show. I fell asleep for part of it, but I saw the important parts. But at the end of it, though, like, spoiler alert, right? It end up together. Sorry, not sorry. I'm going to spoil it because it has to do with what I have to say.
Okay.
But then at the end of it said it's like, and then they lived happily ever after. And then it's like, just kidding. Marriage is hard. But they had a great life, right? That was the best part of the whole flick. That was legit.
love that
was
part.
real, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
and we kind of what we talked about in our last episode is the ride that you're on is wild and fun, but it's not easy.
All right. I'm going to give you 5 things.
Okay.
And we didn't come up with this beforehand, so I'm going to have to count here.
What's your
one.
number one, Brendan?
Super easy, okay? Number one rule is this, and I didn't come up with this. I've heard many people say this, so I don't know what the actual source of this is. But it's number one. It goes back to like all the like old school like game books, like dudes like trying to go out and pick up chicks and stuff with the pickup artists, right? Be attractive, don't be unattractive. Number one rule, okay?
No matter if you're single, no matter if you're married.
I don't care if you've been married 20 fucking years. Be attractive, don't be unattractive. Take care of yourself. Look good.
Because guess what?
Be
Even
strong.
when you've been
Be
married
healthy.
19, 20 years, do you want your partner to just be settling with you day after day, or do you want them to actually desire you?
Here's like the major sin that people have, right? Is they want their partner to be attractive, but they don't give two shits about themselves, right? You have eyeballs, so you want them to be attractive. Well, guess what? They got fucking eyeballs also, right? You know? And they also have hands. They're going to feel things, right? So, number one rule, be attractive, don't be unattractive. That's up to you. Like, that's 100% within your control, okay? Now, there are some things that are not within your control, okay? You might be short. Well, it's better to be short with muscles than to be short and round. You might be bald, right? Well, shave that fucking shit off. Don't hold on to the scraps. Just shave your head, right? You look better with a shaved head than a cul-de-sac in your head.
But my dad always had a
Shree's
cul-de-sac.
dad has a cul-de-sac, right? Like, I don't want to remind her of her dad, right?
Back in the 70s, the cul-de-sac was the bomb. It was the shit.
I've had my head shaved forever. Well, now I got this, like, mohawk thing going on here, right? Like, so, anyways, right? So, do the things that you can do, right? You may not have been blessed with all the, like, perfect genetics, but remember, if you're short, be short with muscles. If you're ugly in the face, be ugly in the face with muscles. If you're bald, fucking just shave it and own it, right? You know? So be attractive, don't be unattractive.
Bald, how about the body?
Number one rule. Well, that's what I'm saying.
Trim that shit up. Some people don't.
Right.
Just saying. You know?
Clippers, man. Like, yeah, don't be like. Actually,
oh no, maybe after
funny story.
20 years of marriage and you finally shave it, that might be weird.
No, I think she'd be like, dope. Like, that's awesome. I've been waiting for you to say that shit forever. When I was like, so I used to be a little bit chubby of a guy, and back in high school. So when I was a senior, I decided like I made the change, and we've talked about this on some episodes before, but the first time I ever trimmed was I got lean and everything. I lost a bunch of weight. I started getting into shape, and I'm like, I want to wear a wife beater. It was the 90s. Wife beaters were the thing, right? Dudes that wore wife beaters and could walk around and like rock the muscles and the shoulders and the biceps and stuff. Like, I used to look at those guys like, fuck, I wish I could look like that, right? Anyways, I finally looked like that, I thought. And then so I'm like, I'm gonna go get a wife beater. So I did, and all of a sudden I looked like I had like these poofs of fucking like fur sticking out like that, the sides of it and stuff.
Thank goodness he doesn't look like
that was the first time I shaved. And I have ever since, for the most part. You know, I get a little lazy here and there, and I shave, and it looks like somebody killed a small dog on my bathroom floor.
But you know, that goes for both partners, right? Like, both people. Like,
luckily, you never let yours go
moments.
as far as I do sometimes, right? All right, so number one, be attractive, don't be unattractive.
Okay.
Number two, don't be needy. Guys.
Yes.
Don't be so fucking needy and like demanding of their time all the time, right? I've been like that before, and it's not attractive. It's not cool, right? Like the times that I've been like that, does that like bring you towards me, or does that make you want to like get the fuck out of the house?
No, you feel like trapped. And there's a lot of people who feel trapped in their relationships, and that has a lot to do with it, is not giving your partner enough space to where they can be them. Because what makes us attracted to each other is letting you be you, and then coming together and exploring what you are over and over again.
Yeah. You know, that's like a fine line though too, right? Because sometimes guys, like your wives, might trick you into like, this means that they should go have like girls' nights out and go to like the club and dance, right? You shouldn't allow that either though, right? And the girls that don't understand that.
The girls just shouldn't want to do that in the first place, because...
Yeah, but you have wanted to though.
Yeah, 100%.
And I've like tried to like explain to Shree, and she didn't understand for a long time until she did.
It was a super hard thing to understand, because you're like, used to that life, and all of a sudden it's different. You know?
Well, it's not that you're used to that. You're like, oh, well, I want to just go and have fun with my friends, right? And you might even say it like, I actually had this thought. So I listened to something that sort of spurred this thought this past week. And it's like this, right? So a girl wants to just go and dance with her friends, but they want to go dance at a club, right? They want to go to a club, right? How many of you girls out there would be super cool with a dude going to a strip club? Sheree wouldn't probably care that much, but most women would not be cool with that, right? You go to a strip club, the girls on stage, they're fucking not interested in the dudes at all. They might pretend they are, but that's just because they want tips, right? But your girl goes to a dance club, 100% of the guys in that club are looking to take someone home that night. They don't really care if they have a boyfriend. They don't care if they're married. They're looking to go home and hook up.
Because guys swipe right 80%.
Of the time. 100% of those
Girls
guys.
swipe right 4.5%.
What if the roles were reversed and the girls were the perverts, right? And I was like, I just need to go have a guys' night with my friends. I'm going to go to this place where all the women want to take me home and bone me, right? None of you would be cool with that, right? Like, that would not be a thing, right? So just understand that that's the way things actually work. Now, I'm not saying don't have a girls' night out. You can go to a restaurant. You can go to, like, the piano bar and stuff like that. You still have to be careful there, right? But I'm just saying, don't go to a dance club. Like, there are certain places that a girls' night should not be.
Yeah.
And guys, you should not allow it, right? Now,
Well, you have to set boundaries in your relationship. Allow is like this threatening word that people are going to be like ready to fight, right? But boundaries, right? Like, you got to understand
but
that.
Sheree knows that she's not even going to, like, ask me if she can go because I'm going to be like, yeah, no.
No,
right?
but throughout the years, like, I've come to a different understanding of why you're asking me.
But at first, when you asked
right?
me and I said no, like, we had issues, right?
Oh, yeah, we did. Totally.
Yeah.
I was ready to fight you.
Right.
Maybe I did fight you a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah, give me. Yeah. Anyway, all right. Let's see.
Number two.
I said
Now number
one-
three.
One was be attractive, don't be unattractive. Number two was don't be needy. Number three is be on your purpose. That actually, these numbers might be like mixed up. That actually might be number one actually because girls just don't have it, or women don't have respect for a man that's not on his purpose.
And that sounds super
Does that make sense?
confrontational, but it really is real, guys or girls.
It is. It is.
It really is. And I don't know, go for it.
It's just a fact of it just goes back to what we talked about before, right? Since like the dawn of fucking time, right? A woman would literally freaking like starve to death if the dude wouldn't go out and slay the saber-toothed tiger, right? He has to be on a purpose, or she's gonna find somebody else that is.
Well, it goes back to the idea too of being interesting and exciting to be around too, because like if you're sitting at home being this boring person, then like I don't know, like things get boring in your relationship. And when you've been married 19 and a half years, almost 20 years, like that, if you don't stay on your purpose, like for both of you, you both have to stay on your purpose.
I don't want to so there's, okay, let's talk about this because this is real, and it's real for me too at times. There's times where you might have a business, you might be doing things, you might be like good, like for a good section of the year, and then all of a sudden like things die, right? And for guys, that's super stressful actually, especially a dude that like understands this stuff, right? So for me right now, my business is super slow. So I happen to have another business that I'm trying to launch. I'm not getting any money for it yet. But because it's slow, because my business is slow, and I'm not making as much money as I'm used to, I feel an extra drive to really work my ass off on this other thing. And this might be because of my past with my family and this and that. It might be just trauma, who knows, right? Because I feel like if I'm not like constantly fucking working on something, I'm gonna look like a schlub to Sheree. And that's probably a thing though. It might be like on one hand you might be like, oh no, she can forgive you and she can love you and she knows that things get slow sometimes. But also if I just use the slow time to just sit around and play games or just freaking sleep all day or drink all day or just do nothing, come on, let's be real. That would affect the way that you feel, right?
It would be okay for like a week or two. But when it turned into months and then a year and then years, that's where it gets to be like. But that just comes back to the fact that like you always want to be like progressing in life, and there's something attractive about progressing in life.
But at the same time, I sort of feel like a little kid at times too. So I'm learning to I'm trying to build this website. I've been working on this thing for like a day and a half. Sheree could knock this out in like an hour, and it's been like serious like freaking time for me.
But it's been fun seeing him do the stuff that I do.
Don't start to act like it's all cute and stuff.
It's a little cute.
But for real though, it is a thing that's like at the end of it, right? It's a new skill set I'll have, right?
Yeah, that's why I think it's important for you to do though.
So you have to be on your purpose. That doesn't necessarily mean you need to be making like $1 million a year all the time, right? But as long as she can see that you're trying and like doing your best, I think is my point there.
And I will say there are women that's not good enough for. So you have to make sure you pick the right woman, right?
We had an experience a few weeks ago. We went out to eat. There was a couple sitting next to us.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. This woman was fucking awful. I felt so bad for this guy.
Yeah.
And he was just like, but I'm trying so hard, but it's not enough. I need to take trips, and I need to be on vacation all the time, and I need to do this and that. He's like, but like that's just not like I just can't provide that. I try so hard and I just can't. But I need that. And oh, dude, it was fucking awful. I wanted to just be like, bro, just fucking leave her ass. She's the fucking worst, right? You know. So, but when they left though, I turned to Sheree and like I didn't realize that Sheree was eavesdropping like I was. But I turned to Sheree and like before I even said anything, she's like, "Man, that bitch was awful." And I'm like, "That is why guys kill themselves right there."
Yeah.
Like they are at a loss. There's nothing he can do to win, ever, right? So.
She was out before that conversation even started, and
because she was looking for a lifestyle, she wasn't looking for a man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways. That's just the cold hard truth. Okay, you need to be on your purpose. Now, there's some people that like when you have hard times, they're gonna stick with you. That means that's somebody worth being with. And then if somebody won't stick with you through hard times, even though you're doing your best, fucking move on. Kick them to the curb.
But
move on.
let's like take. Maybe we shouldn't. This is being super judgy. Should I be
that
super
bitch
judgy?
was awful.
Okay.
Or do you mean something else?
I'm talking about that same situation, but here was this guy sitting with his man purse, and I'm thinking
he did have a satchel. I bet there were Skittles in there.
But don't have a man purse when you're going out with your girl. Like she's the one who has the purse.
Okay,
Let her carry the purse.
Number three. My first was be attractive.
Have respect for a man purse. I'm sorry.
Be attractive. Don't be unattractive. Number 2, or that was number 5. Number 2.
What number are you on?
Have I been counting backwards?
No,
Number
you're
1.
on number 3, I think.
I feel like I should have been counting backwards. So like, either way.
Oh wait, no, you're on number 4.
Don't be attractive. Don't be unattractive. Be on your purpose.
And then you
switched
the second. You switched the second one though.
This one right here, whichever way I'm counting.
You totally got it mixed up. You've already been.
Was I counting?
You are on number 4. You're on number 4.
I've only said 2 things.
No,
so
you
far.
switched 2 and 3. You switched 2 and 3.
Okay, we've had a few drinks. This is a cantina after all. Be masculine, for fuck's sake.
That number 4?
Well, I thought that was 3.
It's number 4.
Which were the things I said then? I said, be attractive, don't be unattractive. Be on your purpose.
And I don't know. Go on.
Then I think I said, be
Sorry,
masculine,
guys.
for fuck's sake. I don't know that there's much else to say about that. I think that says it all. I'm gonna pretend like that was number 3.
Okay, And I just have to say
There
one.
may have been another one in there that I have said.
You did start with a
Awesome.
different number 2.
No, I didn't.
And then you switched purpose to number 2. But that's okay. Because being masculine is a great
Well,
word
this
to
might be
have
the top 6 then, for hell's sake. Number 3, though, where I'm at now. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Okay. Be masculine, for fuck's sake, right? Like,
Yeah.
for real. Even Shree just said, okay, don't wear a satchel. Don't wear the man purse, okay? Be a dude, for hell's sake.
Yeah.
The girl wants to be with a man. Opposites attract again, okay? So if a girl is with a dude that's not very masculine, she's more than likely going to be masculine.
We kind of talked about that. That might have been our number 2. I don't know.
No, it wasn't. Anyways, be masculine, for fuck's sake. That has to be in there, okay? So
What's your next one?
there's not much else to say about that one. That one's out there. My next one?
Well, I will say when you're with a man that's not actually the masculine part of your relationship, you're going to constantly desire that. Whether you know it or not, you're going to constantly desire that because you don't always want to be the masculine part in your
You're
relationship.
gonna
But I think we
desire
talked
it
about that
and-
already.
Yeah, we did. You're
We
gonna
did.
desire it, and you're gonna resent them for not being that.
Yeah. So what's your next one?
My next one.
Now we're on number
I think
5.
we're on 4.
Okay.
You say there's one mixed up in there, okay? So this might be the top 5. This might be the
Okay.
top 6, but I think
Give
this
it
is
to
4.
me, baby.
Shoot, I'm coming up with these off the hip here, so
Shoot straight with me, baby.
shoot straight.
Yeah.
Be good in the sack.
Yeah. That might be something you have to learn.
Yeah.
I mean, especially if you come from a religious background. I have to say it. He's still stealing my drink.
I'm just gonna pour some in my cup here so that we both have some.
Here's the thing is you guys like have fun in your intimacy. Have fun.
Yeah.
And especially if you come from a religious background where you've been taught that all that stuff was bad until you got married, because we understand that. Like, we came from that. But that doesn't mean that you can't have fun.
But I would say this, right? So all these things sort of like come into play, like they sort of like intertwine, right? So when I say be attractive, don't be unattractive, that takes work, right? That means you go to the gym, you work out, right? Then when I say be good in the sack, right? I'm gonna give you guys a little nugget of gold. You know what it takes to be good in the sack? A strong core. You gotta be doing some serious ab work at the gym, right? Come on. I don't need to like go into this and explain it. You guys know what the fuck I'm saying here, right? You gotta be strong. You gotta be able to endure. You gotta have the endurance. Cardio. Like, fuck, dude, like, if we get done and I'm out of breath, like, for real, that means I worked my fucking ass off, right? Because I have...
That's a good night.
I mean, yeah, I'm not saying I'm like the most fit dude on earth, but for my age and for where I'm at, like, I'm a pretty fit dude. So, yeah, be attractive, don't be unattractive goes into be good in the sack, right? You get strong here, you work out so that you're attractive, you're gonna be better in the sack. It just is, it's like the things just like work in unison there. That is just how things go, okay? Not to mention you being good in the sack has to do with the fact that she's got fucking eyeballs and hands and she can feel and see all the things, right? So she can see what you look like. She can feel how you feel like. Yeah, be attractive, don't be unattractive. And I would say that to the females out there as well.
Yeah, well, the crazy thing, that actually affects women, I think, on a whole deeper level than it affects men, actually. So I'm just going to put my 2 cents in, because for women, when you're really honest with yourself and you look in the mirror and you're not really loving what you look like, you don't want somebody else to see that. men, like, they have that sex drive, and so, like, they feel it to a point, but women feel it, like, on a deeper level, because they're like, if they don't want you to be touching them because they know what they feel like. Women feel themselves all the time. They, like, know.
Yeah, and they're like awful, right? Like Shri, I mean, you guys all have eyeballs, you can see, right? Like, and she's like, don't, I look like a sausage. And I'm like the sexiest sausage I've ever seen, right? You know, like, for hell's sake.
Okay. There have been pictures that have been taken, and I'm like, that's a sausage, and you did not tell me I look like a sausage.
Oh, shut up.
And I don't feel sexy in that element when I look like a sausage. You know, like,
Oh, yeah?
it is more, it's like
But
the
you don't-
sausage that's in the plastic wrap, and then you, like,
But you
accidentally
don't-
split a little bit open,
You
and,
don't
like,
ever
it's
look like
coming
that.
out, and you're
Oh,
like,
shut up.
ew, that,
You're
like,
so
I
stupid.
don't want to look like that.
You're so
Like,
stupid.
you tell me when I look like that, and I'll
Yeah,
change.
Except for you don't know ever is the thing. You're stupid.
But really, like, what can you guys imagine, like, when you're in your element and you're at your best and you have the type of intimacy where you don't have to worry about that? All of a sudden, like, you kind of went to the next level in your intimacy, and it's just about you and your partner and what you get to experiment and experience together. And that's a level that I can't even explain to anyone without having you experience yourself, because it's about loving yourself and being honest with yourself, because we can all do this, like, self-love thing, and people always get confused with self-love and, like, whatever, but, like, really being honest with yourself and just, like, being in your raw element with your partner is kind of a beautiful experience. And I will say that's like get there, be there for you and for your partner, because it's one of the most beautiful things you'll experience in intimacy. So, I don't know.
All right.
Sorry. Went off on a little bit of a tangent, but
Yeah, well, we're way off topic anyway, so it's all good. So, what's the next one?
I don't know. Was that year 5 or was that 6 or
No,
7? Or
I think that was 4. So my
he's
number
got
one is this.
more number 7.
Number 1 is this. Oh, number 117. Number 1 is this, okay?
Oh wait, number 1. Now you're going backwards. We started
Well,
from number 1
number
and now we got
5,
back
whatever.
to 1.
Whatever. The last one is this, okay? You have to have interest to be interesting, okay? Now this sort of goes, oh, the needy thing. There was one in there.
Yeah.
This is number 6 here, right?
See, I
Don't
told
be
you.
needy.
Yeah.
But
That
this
was a
has
good one, though.
this
I
has
like
to
that
do
one.
with that one, right? You have to have interest to be interesting, and this goes with what I've said before. And those of you that have listened to our past episodes may have heard this. Guys get into relationships and they give their cool away. They sell the sports car. They sell the motorcycle. They stop playing guitar. They stop doing the things that they used to do because they want to be family men and they want to, like, be there for their spouse or their girlfriend or whatever. They sort of, like, morph into this, like, being who they think they're supposed to be, right?
Can I stop you and ask you a question though?
Yeah.
How many of those things have you done?
I've done them all.
So you guys.
But I have reversed though.
Yeah. So the whole reason I bring that up is no matter where you're at,
Yeah.
you can still
can
turn
fix
it
it.
around.
No.
Yeah. Okay, keep going.
There was a point in time, so I play guitar, and there was a point in time where I just totally stopped. Now I have stopped also right now, but it's because I got like a million other things, and
And it's super hot when he plays. I
Right.
wish he would play so much more.
I have my guitars in my room, and I do want to play them, but I have so many other things going on that they have sort of fallen by the wayside. But there was a point in time where I specifically stopped because I felt like Sheree got jealous of the time I played. And that's real. Like, there was a time where, like, you're playing guitar, you're ignoring me. Like, that was a real legit thing.
It was more you're
And so I
ignoring the
stopped.
responsibilities of us having children, and I was like, ugh.
Oh, baloney. It was before we even had kids. We lived in our apartment in the Avs, and we didn't We didn't even have kids then.
No, but the
So,
point is
but-
get back to that.
But I
'cause
did
it's hot.
stop playing for you, is my point, and I should
No.
not have done
You
that.
shouldn't have done
Shouldn't
that.
have done that.
Never.
Now, she might have
Never,
been
ever, ever.
acting in a way that was not appropriate also, but I should have still stood my ground and like kept my interest, right?
Yes.
Now, I didn't stop that forever. I did eventually pick it up again. I did play again. But yeah, I mean, like, you have to have interest to be interesting. Don't sell the muscle car. Don't sell the bikes. Don't stop. Geez, I've had friends that, like, the second they get married, they're like, oh, like guys I used to ride with, and they're like, oh, I'm gonna sell my bike because my wife hates motorcycles. Dude, that is the worst fucking thing you can do right off the bat, right? First of all, teaches her that she can control your life. Okay? Second of all, she's going to eventually end up resenting you because you're trying to spend all your goddamn time with her when sometimes she needs some time without you. Right?
Hells to the yeah.
I'm involved in a motorcycle club. We've discussed this before. I did a Facebook Live, YouTube Live today with some guys, and we had this discussion. A couple of guys on there that, like, when they joined our club and they started to ride more and they started to get out more, surprise, their relationship improved, right? Because their wives were sort of like feeling like kind of stuck with them being there all the goddamn time. Get out, go have some fun. You're gonna come home. You're gonna be happier. You're gonna have like that clear mind. You've experienced, like, I don't know what it is, but it's just like you come home better than when you left, right? Because you have that thing, that passion that you just experienced. It's yours and yours alone. It's not a thing you have to do with your wife. She rides sometimes.
When
Not
the weather is good.
Nearly as much as I do, right? For
I
me,
get cold.
if it's 37 degrees or up, I will go ride as long
I'm
as
about
it's dry.
50 degrees above that.
50, yeah. Oh, yeah. 50 degrees above that, yeah. 87 degrees or up, Shree might.
I will
might
ride.
But, no, but you have to have interest to be interesting, right? So don't give your cool away. I think that is the number one most important thing you can do. Now, this episode began with, like, what do guys want about, like, what do they want in women? But that's super simple. They want them to be cute and sweet and, like, be nice, right? It turned into this, right? Top 5 things about, like, what guys should do to, like, be interesting to their wives and their girlfriends. How did that flip over like that?
But you know what? Like, through all of our episodes, we kind of go back to the same things because it really is simple.
Actually,
honestly.
how that made sense was this, right? Girls are more picky than guys.
Yeah.
So we started this out.
About
What do men want in women? And we still ended this up in how do you be a good guy for your woman to be interested in you? See?
True
Guys
story.
are way less picky than women. True story.
I'm going to agree with
I
that.
proved my
can't,
point.
I can't not
It took
agree with that.
an hour and 2 minutes and 53 seconds for me to prove my point accidentally.
True story. Not going to lie.
If I had, well, I do have a microphone, but it's attached to
This?
I can't drop the mic.
This is why only 4.5% of women swipe right.
No, 100% of women swipe right 4.5% of the time. Only 4.5% of the men get swiped right on.
Okay.
Do you understand?
I was taking it from a different direction. Okay,
Yeah,
I get
no.
what you're saying.
4.5% of women. Yeah, no, that's not it. All the women out there are only interested in 4.5% of the men.
Yeah, we're a bit more picky, but
So guys, be on your purpose. Be attractive. Don't be unattractive. Don't be needy. Don't give your cool away. Be interesting. All those things. You want to be in the top 4.5%, but you're going to have to be.
I will say I think you kind of like went in this direction yourself, because I was giving you 5 things that like they need advice to give to them, right? So this is good advice.
Well,
It's not bad.
it is it is sound advice.
Yeah.
But
I
it
think
still
it's
proves
good.
my point that women are much pickier than men are.
Hells yeah, we are. If you want a quality woman,
So,
you gotta
Ignore all this
step up the
bullshit
game.
that we've heard the last few decades about how men have this unrealistic expectation of women and blah 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 blah. No, that's not true. It's women who have the unrealistic expectation of men. Now, men, if you want to win at the game, okay. Now, here's my point. Now, I'm a realist.
Is it unrealistic though? Like we should all like really like.
It's no more unrealistic than the chicks that got mad at Barbie, right? Because she was thin, right? Like you can be thin too.
Blah,
You just
blah,
have to.
blah.
You just have
Let's
to
not talk
control.
about those women.
No, I'm just saying it's no more unrealistic than that, right?
Yeah.
The chicks are like, well, that's an unrealistic standard. Well, just don't eat the cheeseburgers, right?
Yeah.
Right? It's realistic. You just have to like. It's a lifestyle choice, right?
Yeah.
So it's this, right? It's no more unrealistic than that. Guys, the reality is, if you want women to pick you, you got to be a certain sort of guy. Girls, if you want men to pick you, you have to be a very available. Men are less picky than you are. The average per person. I'm not saying me, I'm saying the average guy. So dudes, if you want to be picked, if you want your wife to be interested in you, you want your girlfriend to be interested, you want all the chicks on Tinder to be interested in you, you gotta do some things. And you can't get mad if they're not, because girls are not gonna be into the dude that lives in his mom's basement who sits around playing Fortnite all night with 14-year-olds online. He's just not. I had a discussion with a Lyft driver the other day, and he was saying his 43-year-old friend, who's my age, lives at home in his mom's basement, does not have a job, sits around playing Fortnite all day with like 12-year-old online. Nobody's going to respect that, including your parents, for hell's sake. Your parents want you to get the fuck out, right? You know?
Well, here's the thing: is like, don't get down on yourself for the things that like we're saying, right? Like, don't get all upset, because when you put yourself in a bad state, you're never gonna like be able to.
But that's also
right?
but that's also a male female thing, right? Most guys, when they hear stuff like this, like, yeah, you're right, I need to change, right? Girls are like, oh, fuck those guys, right? You know. It's just the same thing like when dudes walk into a gym or not even a gym, but they go into a place and there's a guy walking by, he's like all big and buff and strong. Dudes are like, shit, I need to hit the gym. Girls walk into a place and some like super sexy chick walks by in like yoga pants and looking all hot and thin and fit and everything. Chicks are like, oh, I bet she's a bitch, right? You know, like we just have a different mindset, right? So my point is this, guys, I'm trying to be like inspirational to you, right? You know, I'm not trying to be an asshole, but we need friends that are real with each other. That's what dudes want from their dudes, right? Be real, be straight. So do those things. If you're not in that place, get to be in that place. And you know, if you're offended by it,
Well, here's the thing: is like I just went on this like journey over the past year and have gotten in the best shape of my life. And when I made that goal, I decided I'm like, okay, I want to have a 6-pack by the time I turn 40. Well, I knew on this journey, if I didn't quite make it to the 6-pack, I would at least be better off than I was yesterday, right? And that's all you can do, right? Like sometimes it just takes baby steps to get to the next step, to be the better version of you. And here's the crazy thing: you're not doing it for somebody else. You're doing it for you. And that's the thing that you got to realize.
Well, you do it for you, and the rest of it's like side effects.
Well, here's the thing: whenever anybody finds their soulmate, It's after they decide to stop looking for their soulmate and they work on themselves and they better themselves. When they better themselves, that's when they actually find their soulmate.
And I'm not right. And I'm not asking you to be like Magic Mike, right? So I always say, like, you know, it's better to look like Magic Mike in the off season, because let's be real, even Channing Tatum said when he filmed those, he didn't eat a carb for like months and months and months, right? Nobody lives like that. Channing Tatum does not look like Magic Mike most of the time, right?
I'm willing to test that out. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I bet you are. But he does not look like that most of the time.
Didn't their next movie just come out?
Yeah, but again, he didn't eat carbs for like months at a time again, right? But it's better to look like Magic Mike in the off season than to just be like some average Joe, right? So, for example, I go to this gym. There's this dude there, and he's got a bit of a gut on him, but he's a good-looking cat, and he walks around. He's stocky as fuck. He's got shoulders. He's got chest. He's just freaking like, he's huge, right? Now he's got a bit of a gut still, but he looks good. Do you want to be like this big jack dude with a gut, or do you want to just be like a skinny little fat guy with a gut, right? He's way better off where he is, being big and jacked with a gut still. Got shoulders, got arms, got pecs, got all the stuff, right? He still looks awesome. Is he perfect? No. Am I perfect? No, right? I would rather look like Magic Mike in the off season than just some schmuck who never hits the gym ever.
But here's the reality, like, we're not going to be supermodels. We're not going to be, like, perfect at everything. But the whole point in any of this is that you're still trying to improve yourself daily. And when you improve yourself daily in the necessary avenues, then you're actually going to be better than you were yesterday. So even if that's not for a partner, because really it starts with doing it for yourself, and when you achieve that for yourself, you'll gain so much more on that journey than you'll ever imagine. But then also other people are attracted to that leveling up that you're experiencing, and they're going to like want that, they're going to desire
and
that.
To end this, I will prove my point. This guy that I talked to, or that I know at the gym, he's got a bit of a gut, but he's got big shoulders and big arms and big pecs and everything like that. He's, you know, you might, on the surface, you might look at him and be like, oh, he's not in the best shape. But like when you're working out, like, that motherfucker is strong. His wife is super hot. So guys, that's my point. She looks at him and she has respect for him. Now I also know what he does for work and his business and everything like that, and that's all awesome as well, right? But that's my point, right? You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be on your purpose. You have to be attractive, not unattractive. Take care of your shit. Do your thing. And yeah, back to the whole point of this whole thing. What do guys want? They just want a girl that's nice and sweet and cute and is nice to them and wants to have sex.
So girls, what's the whole moral to the story? Be nice and cute. Don't be naggy, bitchy, all of that.
Yeah.
Just
be
fun. You
being
guys,
feminine is not a bad thing.
remember your femininity, because guess what? Sometimes you lose that over decades of being married, but bring it back to when you guys first started dating.
The girls, though, that end up with a masculine man, they naturally remember that. It's the girls that like think they're the boss bitch and they end up with these little bitchy men that like they just never remember that because that's the life they live.
Well,
so those are not the ones we're necessarily speaking to, though. And they probably wouldn't have listened to more than 4 or 5 minutes of this episode, so they didn't hear this either. So.
Well, just the thing is like, just realize that we all play a part in our relationship, and when we're all working towards a common goal and making it better and bringing it back to that romance when you first started in your relationship, that's the most important part. And that's where we fell in love. So when things are starting to be a little bit chaotic in your relationship, just remember, take it back to the time when you first started dating, because that's when things were magical in your relationship. And go on those dates. Like, try to always embrace that person that you guys fell in love with, and that's what we try to do. Like, honestly, like, it's not always the easiest thing, but that's where it actually brings us back to where we actually fell in love, and it's kind of beautiful. So anyway, we're gonna end it there. And Brandon's yawning.
Starting to yawn. We're an hour and 14
He drank too much of my drink.
You didn't drink your drink fast enough.
But what do we always say?
End it with a bang.
End it with a bang, guys. So
Peace
love
out.
you guys. See ya.
See you next time.